Part 3, you will hear two students discussing a research project with their tutor. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Samia Elena, let's talk about your project on walk and talk tutorials. It is an interesting idea, but your report needs to show exactly why you tested that format.
We were not trying to prove that exercise improves grades. That would be too broad. We chose the format because students had specifically asked for a less formal discussion setting after last term's module review.
Yes, several said they prepared more when tutorials felt less like mini-lectures and more like conversations.
That is a sensible starting point. My first concern, though, is your pilot survey. Some of the questions seem to push students towards a positive answer.
You mean the one asking whether the walks made seminars more enjoyable?
Exactly. The problem was not the number of responses, and it was not the online format. The wording was leading, so students may have agreed because the answer sounded expected.
We can acknowledge that and use the second questionnaire more cautiously.
Good. Now, what did the audio logs actually show? I do not want a general statement like everyone talked more.
The clearest pattern was about timing. Quieter students contributed earlier in the discussion than they normally did in indoor tutorials.
They did not necessarily speak for longer overall, but they joined in before the strongest speakers took over.
That is a useful distinction. What about the route itself? You used two different paths during the trial.
I thought variety would keep people interested.
But it probably introduced a variable. One route was near traffic, and one was through the gardens. I think the route length should be kept constant in the next phase.
I agree, it is not just distance, background noise and interruptions matter. Did weather affect the findings?
It affected attendance more than the discussion quality. On wet days, fewer students came, but those who did attend still participated.
So we should not claim weather changed how they spoke. It mostly changed who was present.
Precisely, and what should your conclusions say?
That the evidence is promising but limited. We can say the format may help preparation, but we need a better controlled comparison before making a strong recommendation.
That is the right level of caution.
Before you hear the rest of Part 3, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
Let's go through the extra data you collected. First, the step count data. What are you doing with that?
We collected it because we thought movement might explain alertness, but the phones were not calibrated. I suggest we use it as background only, not as evidence.
Sensible, it can describe the sessions, but it should not drive the argument.
For seminar marks, we compared the walk-in talk group with the indoor tutorial group. The two groups were small, but the comparison is still useful if we do not overstate it.
Keep that comparison. Just make clear that marks were influenced by many factors outside your project.
What about the reflective comments? Some are rich, but students wrote them at different lengths.
Keep them but label them exploratory. They can suggest themes for future research rather than prove the effect.
Finally, attendance records, we only have 4 weeks of them.
That is too short for a firm pattern. In the next version, collect attendance for a whole term, including the weeks before the walking tutorials begin.
That would show whether any increase was linked to the format or just to the topic being easier.
Exactly. Revise the methods section with those points, and your project will be much stronger.
That is the end of Part 3.